But Pete, some big names that were held to some small fantasy numbers in game one. Is there anyone you actually want to stay away from in game two? Someone you're considering fading, huh?
It's hard to make a case to fade any of these guys. I'm not fading McKinnon or Makar. I will fade for now Braden Point just because he's on the third line, but that could change at any time.
Yeah.
Again, it's a tough assignment to fade any of these guys because it could be an offensive-minded series. I loved the response from Tampa Bay, by the way, when they fell behind in game one. I felt like once they tied that game, all the pressure was on Colorado. That's something I expect to carry over to game two. But yeah, to answer your question, Braden Point no longer playing, not even in the top six, but we're accustomed to seeing him as the top line center from recent postseasons. So for now, as he gets the juices flowing again, he gets back up to game speed. I know he had an assist in game one, but I will fade Braden Point here.
Geoff, would you consider fading like Darcy Kemper here? I know he's the winning goalie, but like if you look and dive into his numbers a little more, and I talked about it with Paul the other day, like it actually was not a very strong performance by him.
No, I mentioned it. There was clear rust. He only saw 23 shots against, obviously, and 11-3. But I do think you have to give Kemper credit for hanging in there too. Tampa Bay tied the game. They were starting to ramp up the pressure and stuff like that, and he did hang in. I think that, again, everyone's going to be looking to Vasilevsky here. I really do think for the bounce back. I think that you've got to think about this from a strategy standpoint. Kemper has, yes, he's not as good a goalie as Vasilevsky. I think we all know that, but he's certainly capable of showing up with a big game here. And if Tampa does bring a few more shots on net, I think that the upside with Kemper is actually going to be better in game two. So I really don't mind fading Vasilevsky here because, again, everyone's kind of going to be playing for the Tampa bounce back, but Colorado is still the favorite at home. I think the pressure is a little bit off Colorado in this spot because they came through when they needed to in overtime, and Kemper could easily be the goalie who ends up with like a shutout or allows one goal. So I think Kemper is actually like a very strong contrarian play tonight. That's where I would go. I don't think there'll be very much ownership on him at all. It's obviously a highly volatile play, but I think paying up for him actually makes a lot of sense tonight with your lineups.
Paul, who is someone that you are definitely not going to roster tomorrow night in game two?
I'm going to fade Colorado's offensive defensemen, both Makar and Taves, and I'll tell you why. The Tampa strategy throughout these playoffs when they've needed victories is to use the cliche that you hear every intermission when they talk to these players. You got to get the pucks in deep. Well, just keep an eye on how many times they dump the puck over Makar and Taves into their corners and make them go 200 feet. They're going to get tired of doing that when the pressure's on, and Tampa's got to turn it up that way. And I think that's going to be a key part of their bounce back in this effort. And I also would fade Colorado's goaltending because I think they're in for a rough night. Tampa's going to play their game, and they're going to find their way back into this set.